Hey, welcome to Loose Change, the program that asks the question, why do we live in this weather here? What are we doing? I don't know, but we get through it. Hi, I'm Jim Evans. Thanks for joining us. Great to see you. As you can see, we're on location up on the north side of town as we get set to talk to Ursuline head football coach Dan Reardon. And we'll do that next, right after we do this. Stay with us.
Level up your internet. Zoom Extreme from Armstrong gives you unlimited data at our fastest speeds available. That means unlimited gaming, unlimited streaming, and unlimited downloading with no fear of overage charges, delivered to you on our unmatched fiber network. But that's not all. Zoom's enhanced Wi-Fi provides complete coverage throughout your home to the devices that need it most, and it gets better each day. Take advantage of the best value in broadband. Zoom Extreme from Armstrong. The future is faster. The future is now.
Welcome back to Loose Change. I'm Jim Evans. I have the great pleasure to be joined by the head football coach at Ursuline High School, Dan Reardon. And I can't thank you enough for your time, and we finally get a chance to do this. So
great to be here. Thanks for coming.
All right. It's our pleasure for sure. We'll dial it back off the top, talk about last season, and a great season for sure. It had a difficult ending, as it turned out, in early December. Nonetheless, a great accomplishment by your whole team, the kids, your staff, yourself. Just to get to the championship game speaks volumes. So few get a chance to do that. Again, it was a tough ending. We'll talk about that, but you still, nonetheless, looking back, you have to be so proud of what your guys achieved.
Yeah, absolutely. And our season. First of all, we just had our banquet a couple days ago, and we had a chance to rehash and celebrate a lot of the accomplishments and give out team awards and all those things. But talking to the crowd there, we rehashed what we did, and this season, I don't think you can speak about this season without going back to the 2020 season, and that was the beginning of the COVID situation.
Right.
We didn't know if we were going to play a season. We played a season. We ended up having a pretty darn good football team. We felt like we could make a deep run. Had some unfortunate circumstances, regional final week, and ended up without five or six of our very best football players. Quarterback, all-state quarterback, all-state running back, all-state receiver, all-state linebacker.
Got to have a couple of those guys.
Yeah, I mean, it's nice to have those guys when you're in the playoffs, and they weren't able to play. And our seniors that year were deprived of really, a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity, and it was hard to swallow. So our 2021 seniors really, I think, embraced that they were playing for those guys. And,
cool.
That started in the off season, and it was always a point of motivation, a rallying cry for our guys. And, our class that just went to the state championship game, it was always in the back of their mind, and that they were playing for not just themselves, but for the previous year. So that said, we had a great off season. Our kids really attacked it. Got stronger. We had a good amount of returning football players, but really had a fantastic off season. And then it was just a matter of getting through our grind of a regular season, which we handled quite well. And we took a couple lumps, but it prepared us for the playoffs. Then ultimately a very, very deep run.
But you had a pretty good feeling that you had the capability of doing that coming in.
Yeah, we had, so we felt in 2020 that we were good enough to compete for the state championship. Yeah. Really still believe that. I feel like at full strength we were as good as any team in the state that year. Had a lot of guys back. Our guys from day one, that was the goal. It was not, make the playoffs or win the regional championship. It was, we are here to win a state championship. So, that was something that, it was spoken about daily. And I think our kids did a really good job of managing that lofty goal while still taking the daily steps that you need to take in order to have a chance to accomplish a goal like that. And, there's a fine line there. It's easy to say those words, but to match it with your effort and, just day to day the monotony that it takes and daily improvement that it takes over the course of January to August and then all the way through the season. But our kids really did a really good job of managing the two sides of that, keeping that goal while staying humble and understanding all the things that are going to be needed to accomplish it. Then you look at opening night. We played Columbus Bishop Hartley, fantastic football team, and one of the craziest games I've ever been a part of.
Had to be, yeah.
Just final score,
62 to
58 or 59 or something like that. Yeah, it was. One score game, came down to the wire. Nobody punted the whole game.
Wow.
Just a crazy, crazy game. Very little defense on either side. And, we found a way to get a stop at the very end when they were driving with a chance to win. And, I think that was kind of a prelude to some of the other things that happened down the road.
Yeah,
but,
for sure.
Our kids, it was a great thing to beat a good football team and holding on at the end and just having the belief that you could do it from there on out. Once you do something once, you have the belief you can do it again.
Right.
And, our kids set the tone that first night that way.
Boy, I kept an eye on you guys before we had a chance to see you, on the radio side. And early on, thinking, when are they going to get some offense? You mentioned the 62, 3 your first 5, you hit 50 or better, and you had 48 against Fitch, and then the 26 or 7 against Chardon. And we had a chance to catch you then.
Which, by the way,
Harding.
I think was the most that was scored against Chardon all year.
Probably, yeah.
They were a fantastic football team, and that was another crazy game. So Chardon, they ended up back-to-back state championship football team, and we played about as poorly as you could play in the first quarter. We turned the ball over 3 times in our first 8 plays, and we were down. I think it was 27-0 to start the second quarter. Battled back and made it a 1-score game in the fourth quarter, and came up a little bit short. But again, another just crazy game. Our kids just kept playing, and we didn't lack for the ability to score. And we had a really good complement of kids this year. We had a really good running back, very talented young man, DeMarcus McElroy, great quarterback who's been a 4-year starter, and he's just gotten better and better. Brady Shannon, but then. We had a mature offensive line, a mature, experienced offensive line, and then we had 4 good receivers that all 4 of them could stretch the defense. So, probably as balanced of an offense as I've ever been around. Our 2010 team, fantastic football team. Mr. Football, Paul Kemp was our quarterback. Really good offensive line, really good players everywhere, but probably not as balanced personnel-wise as this year's team was. We didn't have Mr. Football on our team, but we had a really good running back. We had really darn good running back. Our receiving core this year as a whole was better than the receiving core that year. Similar offensive lines, both had really good offensive lines, but probably a little more balance this year where we could put out 5 skill guys at any position and put pressure on the defense anywhere.
You did that for sure. The games that we saw, you possibly here or there fall behind, and we were like, well, they got them right where they want them, and never sensed, certainly being upstairs, we don't know for sure, but never sensed that when you would happen to be in that situation where you trailed, that there was any reason to hit the panic button. It was like, we're okay, we're going to do our thing.
And I think that goes back to that first game. The first game, we were up, we were down, we were up by 2 scores, we were down by 2 scores, and everything in between, back and forth, and just finding the way to win that opening night. I think just we created that sense of calm for the rest of the season. No matter where we were, we felt like we had a chance someone was going to make a play.
Well, after the Harding game, that shootout there, our next stop with you guys was scheduled to be Boardman, but then it ended up being Cleveland St. Joe because Boardman had to cancel out. That was a tough one, but it seemed like after that one, your defense kind of bumped it up a bar or 2.
Yeah, absolutely. And we had entering the the stretch where we had St. Joe's and St. V's in back-to-back weeks, you know, we I think we were 5-1 going into those games, and then we dropped 2 in a row, and again didn't play great. But if you would have watched us either against St. V's or St. Joe's, you would have said there's no chance this football team's going to the state championship game. But our kids, you know, really just kept doing what we always preach, and that's just this week our goal is to get better. This day our goal is to get better, and it sounds like, you know, cliche, but
it works.
It works, and our kids just went back to work, and then we had a chance to finish strong with 2 wins against East and Mooney, and you know, gave us some momentum going into the playoffs. But you know, yes, we did get better defensively, but it also was just a commitment to what we had been trying to do all year long.
You had Canton South and Salem, then a real shootout against Glenville. That was another heck of a game.
Crazy game, yeah. And so, you know, we felt going into the playoffs that our region, that there were, you know, probably 4 or 5 teams in our region that were good. Whoever got out of our region was going to have a chance. Yeah. And, you know, Canton South, Salem, fantastic football team.
Yes. Right.
West Branch, fantastic football team. Cleveland, Glenville, St. Joe's was on the other side of the bracket. Yeah, you know, we obviously came out of the region, but you know, there was a lot of good football teams that we felt once they got to the state level that would have a good chance. And but that Glenville game, man, they were so talented, and just we have a big physical offensive line, and we did not have the biggest offensive line on the field that night, or the most physical offensive line maybe on the field that night. But our guys just competed, and you know, crazy set of circumstances at the end of that game. You know, we had the lead off and on throughout the game, but they take the lead in the fourth quarter. We get the ball back with about 4 minutes to go, and fumble the ball, and they drove down. They had 1st and goal on about the 6 or 7 yard line, I think it was, and end up having 4th and goal on the 1, and we keep them out of the end zone. And about a minute to go, we have 98 yards to go, and we score in 2 plays to win the game.
Wow.
And yeah, just crazy. And you know, and then on our sideline, we're thinking, oh boy, maybe we scored too fast.
Yeah, well, yeah, that happened.
There were still about 30 seconds or so to go, but our defense went out, and they had four shots, and we got them a 4 and out, and took a knee. So
after that game, then you took care of business against top seed West Branch, and then you mentioned a big offensive line. Port Clinton was they were
really
enormous
good football
for
team.
the
Really good
semifinals.
football team. They were, you know, when you play a new opponent that you have no history with, it's always hard to tell. And we had a lot of respect for them watching game film. You know, the film trade that we have. And we knew they had a big physical offensive line, and they were even better than we thought. And you know, give them a lot of credit. They were a really good football team, and was really, you know, I think people around the Youngstown area, nobody knows anything about Pork. Oh,
no.
you guys will be fine. You'll be fine. And you know, we knew they were good, and they were probably even better than we gave them credit for. And you know, that's saying a lot.
I guess the thing, you know, not knowing about an opponent like that and who they play. We don't know the quality of the opposition. We know you always play a tough schedule. So I guess that, you know, those questions have some validation. But you guys as coaches, you know, you can really see what it is. And of course, you took care of business. That was the second game up at Euclid, and then. Then it was on the state championship game, and Greg says we need to take a break, and we'll come back and get into that a little bit more. Dan Reardon with us here on Loose Change. We'll be right back.
Talk, home telephone service from Armstrong, keeps you connected to what matters most. Talk brings great calling features for one low monthly price. Already an Armstrong customer? Add Talk and save on your monthly service. Visit ArmstrongOneWire.com for more. Armstrong, telephone made easy.
Back on Loose Change, along with Ursuline head coach Dan Reardon. I'm Jim Evans, and we left off with the semifinals against Port Clinton. Then it was on to the state championship game at the Palace over your old stomping grounds for a little while over in Canton, in the championship game in Division 4 against Clinton Massey. And of course, we obviously look at things differently for a lot of different reasons, but our thinking was coming in, look, if you guys are to get up, certainly in the second half, double digits, given what they do, it's going to be hard for them to come from behind, and so that's what happened. You guys had a great first half and hitting on all cylinders.
So, a couple things, and everything you said was true. They're a team that has had tremendous amount of success over the past 10 or 12 years, and we early in the week we pulled up their year-by-year results over the past decade plus, and the worst season they had was, I think it was a 9-2 season where they lost in the first round of the playoffs, in 2014 or something like that. I don't remember the exact year, but I mean, every year making deeper, regional runners-up, regional champions, state semifinalists.
Yeah, I looked at that as well. Yeah,
and just a tremendous amount of respect for them and their program, and then watching their games in the playoffs. Beating some really, really good football teams. And the other thing that we knew was dangerous about them was the fact that they had multiple games that came down to the last play of the game, very similar to us, and found a way to win them. So, had a lot of similarities in certain ways. I mean, certainly contrasting styles. The first half of the game went pretty much according to game plan, and almost as well as it could have gone for us. They went down opening drive and scored. We had them in a 3rd and long, and they converted. That was the one. Looking back at the game, like, man, if we got that stop, it's likely a different outcome. But that was a critical drive, even though it was early in the game. Another thing that happened was when we came out in the second half, we felt good about our adjustments and everything. We turned the ball over on the opening drive of the second half. And even though they didn't score off of that drive, I don't want to say that I felt a sense of panic. It wasn't that strong, but it was like, okay, let's get it back together. And, and then we did. We scored the next drive, but then we gave up a couple big plays. And just like that, they're right back in it. So, the one thing is they are a grinded out football team, but they're also very similar to Army and Navy, whereas if one guy is out of position, the quarterback can sneak through for a huge gain, and that's what happened, or the fullback can sneak through for a huge gain. And in back-to-back drives, that's what happened, and, credit them. Then in the fourth quarter, the flow of the game, we had the ball at the very beginning of the fourth quarter just for a couple plays, punted it back to them with, I think it was about 9.5 minutes, and we got the ball back with about 45 seconds. I mean, so they showed their ability to hit a big play. They also showed their ability to, okay, if we don't want you to get the ball back, we're going to do what we have to do and keep the ball away from you. And, it's one of those games because there's 100 different things that happen during the game that if any one of them was different, we're getting a state championship.
They fumble the ball, they go, and their kid.
And it goes right to
their guy.
So just all those different things, and you could drive yourself crazy looking at the what ifs, and the thing that we told our kids, we always talk to our kids about owning what happened, good or bad, own what happened, and at the end of the day, we didn't make enough plays to win the football game. Doesn't matter what the score was, when it was, or anything else. At the end of the day, we didn't make enough plays. They made one more play than we did, and it was a 1-point game. And that said, obviously it's a loss like that is tough to handle. It's tough to justify in your mind, but
it still bothers me. I think about it.
Tell me about it. But
my stomach twisted that day. It's like, wow.
All that being said, trying to get our kids to understand what they accomplished. So even though, we set a goal of a state championship and came up just that much short, even though I think it's not easy to go do what we did, and it took phenomenal plays and playmakers and belief and commitment and all the things that go into it that, the average high school player has no idea because they haven't experienced it.
Absolutely.
So our kids will appreciate at some point what they accomplished. There's still an awful lot of disappointment, obviously, but they're going to, as they get older, they're going to appreciate what they accomplished.
Without a doubt.
The thing we spoke about at the banquet a couple of days ago was that, there's over 700 football teams that would kill to be celebrating the season we just had,
right.
And win or lose to be in that position. So,
No doubt.
We're thankful, yet, it is tough to stomach.
Sure,
so.
yeah. And not to keep going on with it, but I was just thinking about what they were doing, and again, primarily what they threw the ball only 45 times the whole season.
Yeah.
And Bob Gavler and I were talking about as the game was progressing, and you mentioned the big plays, and those were both running plays.
Right.
Right. Whereas normally they're doing their 3, 5, 7 yards. They're going to burn that clock, but they got those big plays. And I was just getting in their coach's head and thinking, this is what we do. If we try to start throwing the ball, it's probably going to blow up on us. So let's do what we do, and if it works, and if it doesn't, we go down swinging.
If you watched any number of their games throughout the year, every single game had big, long touchdown runs.
Okay.
Yeah, it was not uncommon for them to hit a 60-yard, 50-yard, whatever run. They certainly have the ability to grind out 4-yard runs and 7-yard runs and chip away at it.
Right.
But the nature of that offense, because you have to commit so many people at or near the line of scrimmage, is one missed tackle. And there's no one else there.
It's that precise, right? Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So, you have to be so sound, assignment-wise, gap-wise, because they stress you, in different gaps, option game, some of it predetermined, some of it they're reading, I think. And, so you really have to be on point and be disciplined that way. But one half step out of position, it can lead to a 60-yard touchdown run. And I think that's what a lot of people don't realize. Like, just load the box up, you'll be fine. It's not that simple.
Right.
They and again, give them credit. And they've been there before. They've they were not overwhelmed by the stage by any stretch, and they shouldn't have been. I mean, they're a very proud football program with a ton of success over the years, and give them credit. And then, at the end of when they scored the touchdown to make it 28-27, I don't think anybody was surprised that they were going for 2. I certainly wasn't surprised they were going for 2. That's what I would have done.
Sure.
Being in that situation, and it's just like man, one, make the tackle on 4th down, make the stop on 4th down, or get the stop on the 2-point, and we're still good. And then yet we still got the ball back with about 45 seconds to go, and the thing we told our offense was like, all right, we've been here before. Let's go down and score.
That's what we were thinking. Yeah.
And we had a couple open guys and didn't make the catches on that drive. And who knows, if we make one of those catches, maybe we'll win.
Well, as difficult as it was, and again, I'm with you. I give them all the credit, but I still put this in the file of you guys lost us more than they won. That's what I'm.
You could be right.
So nonetheless. Great experience, as you mentioned, for everybody just to be there in that, and so beneficial for the younger guys who are going to be back.
Yeah, no doubt about it. And so anytime you can make a deep playoff run, it's like compound interest. Those younger guys get an extra week of practice every single week, and that adds up. So this year was even an extra week. So 6 weeks of extra practice instead of 5. Instead of back when we were coming up, a 1 or 2 game playoff way back when. Yeah. So I mean, 6 extra weeks of practice every guy in our program got, and so more than half of a season on top of a full season. So what we do is the entire playoff, as long as we're playing on Mondays, we have the young guys have a scrimmage, and inter squad, all the JV and freshman players, we divide up even teams, and they have a scrimmage at the end of practice, and while our varsity guys are getting some weight room work and video work, and just having that game situation for them to not only practice but also have a chance to compete every week, I think is important. We are fortunate that in a couple of our playoff games, we were able to get every single guy who was dressed for the game in the game. And getting their feet wet in a playoff environment is certainly something that pays dividends down the road.
No doubt. There was a lot of discussion and argument about the playoff field expansion to 16 teams. It was going to go to 12, and then they, after the COVID year, everybody was, and then they were to go to 16. What are your thoughts on that?
So I'll tell you my thoughts, and my thoughts are, maybe in the minority opinion. I like it, and I like it for the simple fact that kids potentially get to play another week of football.
Yes.
And another round of playoffs adds that many more kids who can experience the playoffs. And I go back to when I was a player. Okay, in my senior year, we were not great. We were 4-6. If somebody would have said, you can play one more game because you're the 16 seed, but you have to play whoever, Akron Hoban, Cleveland St. Ignatius. I don't care. I want to play another game. It's my senior year. I would have suited up and played. And I think most kids feel that way. That said, we always, everywhere I've ever been, when we have earned a playoff berth, I've asked the kids, we're going to have a team vote. We're going to vote. Do you want to go to the playoffs? Because you don't have to accept the invitation. I've never had a kid vote against going to the playoffs. And we've had good and bad years, years where we've snuck in the playoffs and years where we've been the number 1 seed. I've never had a player vote against playing in the playoffs. So, there were some lopsided scores. There also were some really close games.
Sure,
and there was at least one game I know of where the 16 seed upset the 1 seed.
Yes, that happened.
The one division where I think it is a bit watered down is Division I because it's a smaller volume of teams playing. Right. That would be the one that I'd say, probably would have kept it as is. But I think there's about 72 or 75 Division I schools where there's a higher volume at the other levels. So that would be the one division I'd probably take a look at. But to me, it's a chance for kids to play one more game.
We're out of time, unfortunately, but thanks so much. It's great to see you.
Yeah, appreciate it.
Appreciate spending time with us, and best of luck. And before you know it, we'll be out there again.
Get right back at it.
Thanks, Coach.
Take care.
Dan Reardon. We'll be back to close it out right after this.
Armstrong has a history of being engaged in the areas where we provide service. One of these ways is through breaking bread. Food insecurity affects over 12 million children and 5 million seniors nationwide, putting them at risk for chronic health conditions. We're taking a 4-prong approach to fighting hunger by collecting donations, volunteering time, donating money, and raising awareness. Visit ArmstrongOneWire.com/breakingbread to find a list of community feeding programs in your area.
Well, that's going to do it for our show. Thanks so much to Coach Dan Reardon. Best of luck to the Irish in all endeavors. Thanks as always to Greg Roten and all of you. Catch us, of course, on YouTube. Just go to Armstrong Loose Change. I'm Jim Evans, and you know what? We'll catch you next time.